His movie last night.
This is Beth Kubriel, who's introducing Dinesh D'Souza, who is going to talk to us about his movie. Standing ovation.
Thank you very much. My gosh, look at this. What a sight. This is so exciting. I'm so thrilled to be here. This is a very critical year. And by the way, I am actually now, well, first I should introduce my wife, Debbie D'Souza. And so I'm now, I live part-time in California, and I'm a part-time Texan. Someone said there's no such thing as a part-time Texan. You know, 4 years ago, I made the film about Obama, 2016 Obama's America, and that was a film about one guy, Barack Obama. And Obama was, at least at the beginning, not so much now, an intriguing guy. People didn't know a lot about him. He came out of nowhere. And so you could make a movie about this outsider to American politics. Now, the challenge for me was, how do you make a movie about Hillary Clinton? Hillary Clinton is not an intriguing person. Hillary Clinton is a known national nuisance. She's been with us for decades. She's been up to her racket since the Arkansas days. Yeah. And so she's a chronic, almost pathological liar. She even lied about where she got her name. She goes, I was named after the mountain climber Sir Edmund Hillary, except that Hillary climbed Everest years after Hillary was born. So she couldn't have been named after him. So the challenge of making a movie about Hillary is, how do you make such a movie interesting? Well, I think what's interesting is not so much Hillary, but the whole progressive movement of the Democratic Party that knows that Hillary is a crook, almost a gangster, and yet they push her forward. They know it. Now, why would they do that? Why would a good party knowingly nominate a crook? It's one thing to say that someone turns out to be a crook later, but if you know in advance, what does it say about your character that you would push such a person forward? Now, the Democratic Party has had quite a history. Many of us, even in this room, don't know that history because it's been camouflaged. It's been camouflaged. It's been camouflaged by the progressives who dominate academia and the media. And the Democratic Party has had a sordid strain that has run through its history from the very beginning. Now, the Democratic Party in the 19th century was emphatically the party of slavery. It defended slavery both in the North and in the South. After the Civil War ended, the Democratic Party became the party of segregation and Jim Crow. Every segregation law was passed by a Democratic legislature, signed by Democratic governors. The Democratic Party was also the party of the Ku Klux Klan. I don't just mean that a Democrat started the Klan, I mean that the Ku Klux Klan was the terrorist arm of the Democratic Party for 40 years. The Democratic Party was also the party of forced sterilization, sympathy for fascism in the 1930s. And people say, what? What do you mean? Well, a young JFK went to Nazi Germany in the 1930s. He came back absolutely excited about one Adolf Hitler. Called him a legend. He said that the opposition to Hitler was mainly based on jealousy. He said that Hitler claims that the Nordic people are superior because they are. They are.
said the same thing.
FDR was full of praise for Mussolini, thought he was fantastic, and sent members of his brain trust to study Italian fascism so he could bring it here. This wasn't a one-way admiration society. Mussolini reviewed FDR's book and said, FDR's one of us, he's a fascist. Now, after World War II, with the odor of the Holocaust hanging over all this, the progressives go, oops, we got to clean all this up. We got to take it out of the record. We got to remove it from the textbooks. We don't want people finding out about all this. Here's what I'm saying. I think it's a great mistake that we as Republicans and conservatives have allowed the left to tell the story of America.
Yes.
And what they have done with diabolical ingenuity is take all the crimes that they did, and blame them on the people in this room. That's what they've done. In other words, some of you saw my film America 2 years ago. I was defending America against these charges. America broke treaties with the Indians. America enslaved African Americans. America did this and America did that. Wait, if America did all these things, they'd still be going on. But some Americans did them and other Americans stopped them. To borrow a phrase from Trump, the crooked ingenuity of the Hillary Democrats has been to take the crimes of the Democratic Party and blame them on the South, on the Republican Party, and on America. So here we are in a critical election. And I don't know if, I feel reluctant in saying this, but the people in this room, in a sense, are what stands between the Hillary Democrats and the sort of devolution, the disintegration of the American dream. It's a heavy responsibility for Texas to bear. But look, if Boston is the intellectual capital of America, if DC is the political capital, if New York is the financial capital, if LA is the entertainment capital, if San Francisco is the high-tech capital, that is the domain of the left. The Democratic Party is strong in all those areas on both coasts. And what is standing between them and a full takeover of America? I don't know if it fills you with exuberance or a sense of foreboding, but by tragic necessity, this responsibility is now yours. Now, we're trying to help. I've been a writer and speaker most of my career, and I've realized that that's an effective way to lay out an argument. But if you want to reach a lot of people and change them from within, if you want a weapon that can actually change minds and hearts, not just to fire up and unify Republicans, but to also persuade the guy on the fence, and to take people on the other side, Latinos, African Americans, diehard Democrats, and show them that the narrative that they've been given is actually a big lie. That's what our movie tries to do. And so we're unleashing this movie this Friday. It's going to open in 1,500 theaters around the country.
Wow.
And I want Texas to get behind the movie. This is a movie that can do wonders in the state of Texas to reach people that the Republican Party has traditionally not reached, because it tells a story not only to the mind. It's one thing to tell someone, this is the voting rolls on the Civil Rights Act of '64. More Republicans voted for it than Democrats. It's another thing to show this dramatically, narratively, emotionally. Hollywood tells its stories through narrative. And so we've done it. We've produced this messaging, if you will, but we don't have the ability to get it out as widely as it needs to get out. But you do. You do. And I think if Texas does things with this movie and shows they can be done, you can get other states to look at that, look at the Texas model as well. In other words, Texas needs to take a leadership role in showing the way for the Republican Party of the future. This is a great party. When I was a young Reaganite in the 80s, I used to say I'm a Republican, but I'm a conservative, but I'm not a Republican. Because I thought the Republican Party was sort of like the Lions Club, and the Democratic Party was like the Kiwanis Club. But the more I've learned, the more I've realized is that the Republican Party is the party of emancipation. It's the party that fought segregation. It's the party that stood up for equal rights and human rights. It's the party that represents the ladder of opportunity. Both Debbie, my wife, and I are immigrants to this country, and I think a country is judged not by how it takes care of its people at the top, but what measures it makes for people who are starting at the bottom to come up the ladder. That ladder represents the American dream. Texas is a land of big skies and big dreams. We have made a big movie. Please help us get the word out. Thank you very much.
How many people in the room saw the movie yesterday? Alright, so by a round of applause of those that saw it, would you say it was worthwhile to go see it?